Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Hello, leader. Welcome back to the Fierce Factor podcast. You are tuning in to episode number 208, and it is your host, Kaylee here. And listen, on this podcast, we talk a lot about how to hire, train, retain, and develop top talent. And this is certainly a critical component of building a deeply lucrative and sustainable business. But truth be told, in order to attract and keep A players on your team, you need to level up to become an A+ leader. And I'm saying this because I've learned this the hard way. I have hired incredible team members who I, quite frankly, was not ready to lead at the time. And this has been one of my most challenging lessons to learn as an entrepreneur and business builder. Because coming out of corporate America, I honestly thought I had all of the skills to enroll others into my vision and get them excited about the direction we were going. But what I learned is that this is only one piece of what is required to keep employees excited about showing up with passion and committed to advancing the goals of the company every single day. So I'll routinely talk with founders who land rock star employees and then don't understand why, or eventually get worn down by the fact that those employees continually want more and more and more advancement in the company. And typically this scenario exists because there has been a misalignment in expectations from the beginning, really before that employee even starts with the company. So I'll see situations like, number one, an employer is so elated or maybe even desperate to hire that employee that they overpromise on what is possible for that team member in their first 3 years of employment. Number two, an employer has no clue what to pay an employee or what they can afford. So they just give them what they're asking for and then feel like they're getting punched in the stomach every time they run payroll. Three, an employer agrees to a bloated commission structure because it's quote unquote less risky than paying a salary. And over time, that employee starts to make an overinflated income, and pulling back on compensation will risk that employee leaving. Or number four, an employer is not clear or does not clearly deliver expectations to that employee in the form of KRAs, key results areas. So that employee has too vague of an employment agreement and wants a raise because they see how much they're producing for the company. It feels like it's about time, or a colleague they talk to is making more money than them, so they feel deserving of more. If you have found yourself in one of these scenarios, don't fret. We can learn and improve. And that's why we're here today. And if you haven't experienced this, this will be a good reminder to make sure that you have all of your hiring and performance management processes dialed in ASAP. And if you're coming to Alta Experience in May, you will be learning a ton about implementing systems like these into your practice. So stay tuned for that. For the purpose of today's podcast, I want to teach you some lessons that I've learned as a leader who has beyond up-leveled my hiring process and candidate pool over the past 8 years of building my business. And I will share with you some of the common mistakes our clients make when dealing with an, let's say, ambitious employee who likes to ask for more. So earlier I mentioned the opportunity that presents itself when your employee comes to you for asking for a raise. And I know what you're thinking. Seriously, Kaylee, why would giving a raise to my employee be an opportunity for me? And I get it. This is a very common instinctive thought because our primal brain wants to immediately associate higher pay with higher costs for the company. And I'm here to tell you that this doesn't have to be the case at all. In fact, I see this as a gift. I honestly do. And the reason I feel that I am so qualified, the most qualified person to give this lesson today is that I have been on both sides of the negotiation table here. In fact, I was that employee. For 10 years of my professional career, I was a hard-charging sales rep who was very money motivated and was on a mission to climb the corporate ladder. And by that, I mean quickly. Now, don't get me wrong, I was good at my job and I was producing results. But I had to learn the skills of understanding how to demonstrate how paying me more money would make the company more successful. In fact, I recorded an episode back in November of 2020 called How to Ask for a Pay Raise. It's episode number 31, and I'll link it up in the show notes so you can go back and visit this one to get some context to be a little bit more well-rounded in your approach as you think about how your team members are positioning themselves for a raise in your business. As a leader, it's important to understand where your employees are coming from before you jump to the conclusion that they're just money hungry and entitled. I'm not saying this doesn't happen, but think of yourself as an employee. You most likely felt like you deserved every dollar you made because you cared and you put your whole heart into what you did every single day. And how rare is that? That's all your employer could honestly ask of you, making sure that they had your passion pointed in the right direction to produce results for their company was their responsibility. And truthfully, I think too many owners forget this when they start to build their own teams. And this is where, as the old adage goes, what got you here won't get you there. Because if you want to scale up your business through team, you have to learn and practice this skill. Fortunately for my clients, they can prep and work through these scenarios with me as they arise. And the process is actually the same for any size of business, any employee role, any kind of founder. It's about slowing down to get crystal clear about your own expectations of that role in your company, and then of the activities that that employee who functions in that role will be responsible for to produce a profit for the company. It's actually not rocket science. But one of the most common challenges I hear is, I need KPIs. And I've recorded 2 episodes on this particular topic, by the way. It's truly as simple as sitting down and using your beautiful brain to think about why you even have that role in your business and how many of what activity equals success. For example, a marketing coordinator might need to make a specific number of social media posts per week. She may need to assemble analytics and present them to you monthly. He may need to create internal marketing campaigns quarterly or in-office print materials. Maybe it's 1 brochure, 1 patient case study, and 1 sushi menu per campaign. She may need to educate 10 patients directly on your membership program per month. What exactly should they be doing in their role versus market our business, right? Do you see the distinction here? Marketing can be so subjective. Creating t-shirt graphics could be marketing. So could building fruitful relationships with local businesses. So it's important that you know what will move the needle for your business. What happens when we're not direct enough about expectations is that we leave a lot of room for an employee to decide on their own if they're doing a good job or not. And most employees want to do a good job. They want to make you happy. They want to be rewarded for the hard work they put in. But more often than not, when the hard work they put in isn't producing results that the company needs, it's because we as leaders haven't set them up for success in the beginning. So if we can agree here that clear expectations are the foundation for success, let's talk about what to do when our employee does come to us to ask for a raise. A few years back, we had a client who hired a practice manager who had come from another practice owned by a large multi-location chain. And she said she was leaving because her quality of life was suffering. Over time, her goals were so numbers focused that she felt she wasn't able to really focus on the patient experience. Her own objectives were only measured by the financial impact of the company, and she found herself working late nights and weekends, missing out on key lifestyle moments like stories of friends and family time, destination weddings, and hobbies. So our client hired her as a practice manager with ample upside for growth into a director role. She onboarded quickly. This employee was doing a really fabulous job. And within 5 months, she came to our client asking for a pay raise. She sent an email ahead of time with screenshots of comparable and average practice manager compensations, and she bulleted out a list of reasons why she thought she deserved a raise. Namely, that since she had been employed with the company booked over $2 million in revenue during that 5-month period. So she asked for a meeting to discuss this, and that's when our client came to me to walk through handling of this meeting. So how do we handle this? Well, first and foremost, my advice was to get excited because this was going to be a great opportunity to get aligned with that employee. The fact that she's asking for more means she cares and she values her own work, and that is a good thing. But this is also an opportunity to set the standard for not only raises will be given, but also how those discussions will happen when it is time for a raise. So the first thing we did was look at her existing KRA responsibilities and how she had performed according to her employee agreement. So this is why I'm saying that this is so important from the beginning, is to set the stage. Build out a checklist essentially of what exactly you will be measuring as a leader of this employee's performance. So thank goodness our client had done this ahead of time. She knew exactly what she was measuring. And when we went through this exercise, about 80% of these key areas had been achieved. So we made a note of that additional 20% of room for growth. The next thing we did was look at trends over time. So while that employee had played a key role in the achievement of approximately $2 million in revenue over those past 5 months, which is incredible, the company had actually experienced a slight loss since that same 5-month period the year before, when this employee was not employed with the company. So the next thing we looked at was her upside earning potential when specific milestones were achieved, such as total annual memberships, alignment with core values, and quarter-over-quarter growth in retail business. So these areas would be a way for her practice manager to contribute to the overall success of the business and be rewarded in alignment with the company's success. And finally, we drew out a visual map of the overall scope of responsibilities this manager played within the company and how an increased responsibility in oversight of additional arms of the company would allow her to become eligible for a role promotion. So for example, tasks like taking on a more operational oversight of other employees, negotiating vendor contracts, and building the expansion roadmap for the company would allow her to move into a managing director role, which would accompany a salary increase, right? So I really advise that rather than just paying raises just because, that our employees understand where the growth roadmap is for them. So a raise would come with a role promotion. Hey, I have a quick announcement, Goddess. I am thrilled to introduce a game changer in the world of female entrepreneurship. Introducing the Alt Experience. This May 17th and 18th in Newport Beach, California, we're setting the stage for something extraordinary. Imagine a gathering where female entrepreneurs share, learn, and connect like never before. The Alt Experience is that rare event where actionable strategies, meaningful connections, and transformational growth come together under one roof. The Alt Experience is all about learning the stories of adversity from thought leaders, sharing this seemingly uncharted and often lonely journey of entrepreneurship. It's the event you've always wished for, designed exclusively for women like you, ready to elevate your business and shatter those glass ceilings. For 2 days, immerse yourself in workshops, mastermind sessions, and talks from industry leaders who are eager to share their journeys and insights. This is where visionary thinking meets actionable advice, all set against the backdrop of the stunning Lido House Hotel in Newport Beach. Spaces are limited, so learn more and snag your spot today at klcconsultants.com/alt. Let's make history together. See you there. So we prepared all of these numbers, and our client confidently stepped into this meeting with her employee. But she started by asking her employee how she felt about her role in the company, and she let her talk. This is really important and truly the most important part of any negotiation, because we can't possibly help someone understand our perspective if we don't show them that we fully understand their point of view and we come alongside them to help them fill gaps that they may not be seeing. So the conversation started with the employee sharing that she had been going above and beyond in her role. She had helped the company book $2 million in revenue, and she felt that the average practice manager was making more than her. And so it was really important to understand that she was coming from this perspective. These 3 points would lay the groundwork for a productive conversation between the employee and the owner. So let's sort of unpack her point of view. So number one, we know that she believes she's doing what she's being asked to do and more. Number two, she is seeing that the company is benefiting from her contributions. And number three, she believes that she should be compared to the average practice manager job she found on Indeed. So, leader, how would you handle this situation? Think about it. Well, here's what our client did. Number one, she saw this as an opportunity to reinforce what success looks like and educate her employee on the value of her role in the company, the activities that are expected of her to achieve results, and the fact that she isn't average in any way, and either is the company. So she thanked the employee for her commitment to the company and her ambition to grow within it. She pulled up her KRA chart from her original job description and last performance review and showed her how she had been trending toward those expectations and that she had met approximately 80% of them and still had room for improvement in a couple of areas. She acknowledged that there were additional activities that, yes, this manager had taken on over the past 5 months that were valuable to the company, that were outside of the original scope of what they had developed together. And so together they adjusted those KRAs to best match the needs of the company with the exceptional skills of the employee. Next, she showed her the trending numbers, illustrating that while her impact was crucial and month over month the company was growing in the right direction, they were still not outperforming that 5-month period last year. And this really helped them engage in a meaningful discussion of why that was and how that could change. And I also believe that while we sometimes want to hold back and not really show all our cards to our employees in terms of the success of the company, I do believe that it's important for them to understand basic fundamentals about how a business runs, about just because a company collected a certain amount of sales revenue does not mean that that is what the company is taking home and that there are costs that are associated with running the business. And so this really helps them have that high level and mature conversation about their collective interest. Next, they ran some projections on how increasing membership numbers, retail sales, etc., would allow this practice manager to earn more in bonus income and get closer to her goals. And I think that's really important because sometimes I think that our employees forget that when they want to make more money, there's opportunity for them to do that, but they get paid by producing results, not just because they're doing a good job. According to their opinion, it's really based around how are you performing and what is the company collecting and what are the actual results that are being achieved based on those activities that that employee is putting in. So it's important to have that conversation. Then they looked at job descriptions from other practice managers. Ugh, this is like one of my pet peeves. And demonstrated how those managers were being paid for director activities. So this opened up a discussion around apples to orange employment opportunities, like leaving a comparable paying job, working 24/7 around the clock to come to this company meant that she had a quality of life. She had more fulfillment in her role, better relationships and connection with patients, and room for upward mobility. And this was something that when this employee took that job, that was really important to her. So it was important to remind her of that this was not just a position that was being offered based on pay and pay for performance, but it was based on, an entire lifestyle adjustment that this employee was able to achieve by taking on this role. And finally, she discussed what a promotion would entail. I think this is important, what that runway would look like and what skills she would need to acquire to demonstrate to be considered for that role, starting with achievement of her current KRAs at 100%. So a lot of times I'll talk with employers who bonus based on achievement of KRAs. And I think you can incorporate an element of that. But I also think that those KRAs are developed to show that employee what they're being paid for. So achievement of those KRAs is baseline to be employed and to receive the salary that they are they're agreeable to in the beginning. So a bonus is usually, from my perspective, based on going above and beyond an overachievement of those KRAs, and or like in this scenario, set up based on some specific metrics that we can quantify in terms of results for the company. So in sum, the employee was appreciative of the opportunity to feel seen and heard and felt clear on what a growth runway would look like for her. And I think just having the conversation was so important. And our client, the employer, felt empowered that she was on the same page with the employee. And she began to see how having a team member's desire to grow could mean a great opportunity for the growth of her company. Truly, it's a dream to have employees who want to see themselves as a part of this upward mobility with our company. And if you're in a high growth organization and you're running a small business, you're going to grow. Sometimes you're going to grow take an entire 180 turn. And to have employees that can be agile, that are committed to growth and want to be a part of that is truly a gift. So the great news is now she has had this conversation with one employee. She has the experience to draw upon to tackle these situations in the future. And this is the essence of the practice of leadership, growing as a leader. So you have the capacity to elegantly handle situations like this. I want to remind you that employing team members is not simply a measure of productivity, but instead a blessing of partnership, collaboration, and agreement to partner toward a common goal. If not, productivity measures don't freaking matter. That is the truth. At KLC, we teach measurement to both productivity KRAs as well as to core values. And let me remind you, one you can teach and the other you cannot. If you're struggling with getting your well-oiled machine built, employees functioning independently in alignment with the core vision of the organization, and separating yourself from the day-to-day management and oversight of this, we are here to help you. We are open for enrollment in our flagship Pop Leadership Academy, the Harvard of business leadership education for female entrepreneurs in aesthetics and wellness. This is a 1-year-long program that is designed to help you build a flawless and fulfilling business that is so fine-tuned that your grandma could come in and take a shift. Clients who graduate from our program give feedback to us like, quote, "This is the best decision I ever made in my business." Quote, "I feel more confident than ever to manage my team." And quote, "I love my business again." So if this is ringing a bell for you, if this sounds like this is exactly what you need, you can apply and learn more by setting up a no pressure discovery call with our team at klcconsultants.com/PLA. And don't forget, we will be live in May in Newport Beach. So if you're craving an in-person experience to get your mind and strategy right, to take your business to the next level, join us at ALT. I will link up the registration in the show notes below. Okay, leader, I hope this has been helpful and you feel more equipped and more empowered than ever to support your ambitious A+ team members on their quest for growth. I will see you same place, same time next week. Listen, leader, if you're vibing with me here, hang tight because I have a brand new resource for you. You are a successful, confident, powerful woman who just isn't into being average. No, you have a calling, and part of that calling is requiring you to level up. And I know that if you're working across the next $1 million milestone in your business, you need to be in the right circles. And perhaps that's why you found us. I'd love to invite you to join The Blueprint, a weekly resource for inspired, provocative thinkers who are taking this conversation to the next level. Get access to free business tools, podcast supplements, guideposts, and direct communication with me and my expert team. And of course, a masterfully curated circle of women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetics and wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to klcconsultants.com/blueprint. It's time to elevate. See you there, goddess.